gentlemen, welcome once again to another edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. I am your host, Mr. Warren Hayes. No, I know my name. I swear. I hesitated. I'll tell you why I hesitated. Now I look like a moron. I know my name. I hesitated because I was going to say I am your host with the most. That's what I was going to say. You know that it's an old. You've heard this line before. It's an old-timey sort of a cliche line, old-timey TV trope. You know, your host with the most. And we've heard English, not English, but female variations of that. You know, the hostess with the mostess kind of thing. That's what I was going to say. And I sort of stopped myself from saying it because it's kind of corny. And I don't understand what it means. I don't understand you're the host with the most what? You can't just be the most. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't work. You're the host with the most. I get with the most what? I get it. It's a rhyme, and it works as a rhyme, but it doesn't work as a sentence. That just makes sense. You're the host with the most what? The most charm, the most guests. You know, might as well say you're the host with the toast at that point. And then you have a nice little stack of bread. That would have to be toasted. Otherwise you'd be the host with bread. And then it just wouldn't rhyme. But I do, basically what I do here is I talk about pro wrestling. And in the context of this programming option here, I talk about WWE wrestling. WWE Raw, to be completely transparent with you all. WWE Raw edition of the 3rd of September. I'm sorry. My mind is somewhere. I was going to say January. I don't know. I could start this all over again. It's a recording, but I'm not gonna. I'm just not gonna. I'm gonna look completely off base and unprofessional for you. No, but actually, my mind is wavering here. Like, obviously, the host with the most thing is one thing, but then messing up. I know we're in September, but I was thinking about January, and I'm thinking about January because the weather here in my part of Canada is so hot and muggy, ridiculously muggy for this time of year. It's so bad. And I'm sort of thinking about the winter months now and pining for them, pining for the nice, cool, brisk Canadian air. Right now, I'm like, my hair is completely unmanageable. I actually put a picture of me and my bad hair day yesterday on Twitter. On Mr. Warren Hayes. You can go see it, but man, my hair gets really, really crazy when it's too humid, and it's too humid. I'm looking forward to winter. So that's why I hesitated before I said September. Now there will be no more hesitation. We're going to go forward. January. Raw. Monday Night Raw that took place last night, September 3rd. That's what we're going to be talking about today. Just before we get in there. We're going to do some housekeeping first and foremost. So today is the 4th. Therefore, it's Tuesday. If you're watching this on the Tuesday, on the 4th of September, well, then you know that tonight is SmackDown. SmackDown Live. I love me some SmackDown. Looking forward to SmackDown. That means tomorrow on Wednesday, you can find my SmackDown Live recap right here at my YouTube channel, which you can find at tinyurl.com/Mr. Warren Hayes. And then Wednesday evening, if you come join me over on FightfulSelect.com, you can join me actually live because I do it live. I stream it live for FightfulSelect.com members. You can come join me for my 205 Live /NXT weekly recap, which I do over there on FightfulSelect.com. Hopefully you guys will come join me, especially since I'm adding a little something, giving the FightfulSelect.com members a little more bang for their buck. Along with 205 Live and NXT, I will also be recapping the Mae Young Classic for the duration of the tournament. Looking forward to doing that. I'm going to be doing it completely spoiler free. We're gonna go at it with a very episodic way of looking at it. I'm kind of glad that they didn't put it all out at once like they did last year, like in a Netflix binging kind of situation. You know, let's stretch it out. Let's give us an hour of wrestling of Mae Young Classic per week. I'm much more comfortable with this format. It's going to be a lot better. It's going to create some suspense, some discussion online. It'll be fun instead of having to sit down and power through, 8 hours all in a sitting or two. Man, I mean, there's just been so much wrestling recently. Thank you, WWE, for cutting us some slack on that, and that was a good idea. But yeah, so you can find me doing that recap show on FightfulSelect.com. And in case you don't know what FightfulSelect.com is, well, that is the premium service, the subscription service of Fightful.com, FightfulWrestling.com. And if you don't know what those websites are, well, those are Fightful.com basically is a combat sports news website where you can get news about pro wrestling, MMA, boxing, all there. It's a fantastic site run by some passionate, extraordinary people. Fairly young site, just a couple of years old, but man, already out there doing some great stuff. And so you get all your news there. But if you want extra content, you want exclusives, you want on top of your exclusives, you want sneak previews, you want members only content. You go to FightfulSelect.com, and as low as $5 a month, you can have access to a ton of members only podcasts, including my recap show. You can get Sean Ross Sapp, the managing editor there at Fightful Select. He does a weekly recap show. He does what he calls the Weekender, where he recaps the weekend news. He reviews non-WWE programming there, Lucha Underground, Impact, Ring of Honor, New Japan, Being the Elite, 12 Pounds of Gold. He goes through it all. And that's always super fun. So that's once a week. He does Q&A sessions. He and I do monthly retro reviews as well. We've recently released SummerSlam 1992. You should go check that out if you're a member. If you're not a member, well, then you should become a member and go check it out. You get a tons of stuff. Dark match commentary, exclusive interviews. Look, head on over to FightfulSelect.com and check it out. Join. And if you do join, then just drop a small note. Go on the Twitter and or whatever, and you just go to you text Sean Ross Sapp. You send him a little message. You send him a little email. Maybe not a text, because that'd be inappropriate for you to use his phone number without. He'd be like, "How did you find my phone number?" And you'd be like, "Well, Warren Hayes told me to text you." Yeah, but where did you find did Warren give it to you? And it just create a really awkward situation. And what I'm trying to say is, if you do join, after me asking you to do it, just tell Sean, "Hey, you know what? I'm here because Warren Hayes told me that you guys have a fantastic service." And I don't get a cut or anything. It's just like, I'd like him to know that I have some kind of presence, some kind of influence on things. Man. So go check that out, FightfulSelect.com. Before we get into the review for the recap of tonight's Raw, I've started a thing recently on Twitter where before every show I like to ask people on my timeline, give me your bold predictions for tonight's show, SmackDown, Raw, and I think the first time I actually did it was for SummerSlam, and it's a lot of fun, and I want bold, and when I ask for bold predictions, it's not like, oh, I think Alexa Bliss is gonna run in during Ronda Rousey's match, not stuff like that, not like predictions. I want bold predictions. And if people tweet at me stuff that I feel is too grounded and too logical and I say bolder, go bolder. So before we start, I'd like to run down a couple of these tweets that have come up during these sessions where I ask people for their very bold predictions. So these are the bold predictions, a few, not all, but a few of the bold predictions that we got for Raw tonight. Now, I just pulled that up there. Good Guy Dave says Jericho dresses up as Sin Cara and gets involved in the match with Seth Rollins and then removes his mask and says, "See you on the cruise." Yeah, that's bold. Oops, sorry about that. There we go. And it's back. All right. Another bold prediction. Maurice shows up, beating down Brie, costing them their match. You know, I found that it had just enough boldness because, you know, WWE doesn't like to cross over SmackDown and Raw that much, despite the fact that the Bella Twins seem to be like free agents that can go to whichever brand they want. So, hey, you know what? I thought this was bold. Another bold prediction. Here's another one from Shell Bell. She says Cena returns and re-proposes to Nikki, but she declines the proposal and explains that she will be entering into a sister-wife relationship with Daniel Bryan and Brie next season on Total Bellas, only on You know what? Someone should be writing for creative right now. That's fantastic. You know, if that actually happened, I'd start watching Total Bellas. Bailey Donovan comes up with this one. The show opens with Cody chants. Oh, yeah, there's a lot of people in their bold predictions. We're talking a lot about All In. The crowd bombards the show with indie chants. Taker returns to attack HBK. Not too... it wasn't too far off. HBK becomes the new GM for Raw. You know, there wasn't an attack. You know, what happened tonight with Taker and HBK wasn't like a physical attack, but it was definitely a psychological beatdown that Taker gave Shawn tonight. Moran on Wrestling says CM Punk to show up despite not showing up at All In Chicago, cementing the biggest heel turn ever. Everyone would hate him. Every single person would hate CM Punk showing up on Raw and not being at All In. Oh my God. Also, Revival to get gold, I guess. Yes, that's what I kind of expected that as well. Shane Richardson says Corey Graves has 2 All-In puns during the. I didn't pick any up. I guess this was a very bold prediction because I don't remember hearing any all-in puns, or if they were really, really subtle. And I haven't watched the show yet. Warren! No, I haven't watched the show because when I found out, I was going to plunk down the money to watch it live, but then I found out that it was going to be on New Japan World, and I have a subscription to New Japan World, so I was like, oh, I'll just leave it as that, and I'll watch it a couple of days later. I don't mind. I'm not the kind of guy who likes to, like, who absolutely has to go see a movie on release day or has to go buy a video game on launch, you know. I don't mind waiting. Maybe it's because I'm at that age now where I'm like, you know, it'll still be there. You know, and I got excited with everyone else. You know, I saw the tweets go by. I didn't keep myself spoiler free. It didn't bother me. I just wanted to, you know, everyone thought it was a great event. Now if anything, I'm looking forward to seeing it even more. So there you go. So I haven't seen, so maybe there were some all in references, but I didn't get them because I didn't see the show. The man Mike Arant says, in response to Joey Ryan's return from the grave, the Undertaker will reunite Val Venus with his long lost PP, which was choppy'd all those years ago. Again, this is probably something that I would pay to see. Brian Eaton says we get a KO lost his smile type video package right after the HBK segment. And oh my, I was actually wishing for this one to happen. That would have been spectacular. That was a bold prediction. And finally, my boy outside Connecticut, shout out, had a few bold predictions. The Dick Druids from All In. The Dick Druids will attack a returning Undertaker. Kevin Owens will return as a janitor for the arena in an ironic twist. Brock Lesnar will forget he doesn't work for WWE anymore and will show up on Raw. CM Punk will finally text Corey Graves, who will pass out on live TV. That was good. Some good, bold predictions, guys. I think I'm going to keep doing this. We're going to do it again for SmackDown tomorrow. Tonight, tomorrow, tonight. Tomorrow being the show, SmackDown, and my review tomorrow. That'll be fun. All right, let's get to it. Let's talk about Monday Night Raw, folks. In case you're wondering, this is all gin. It's not. It's just water. But do let me know that. Well, do let me know if you thought for a moment right there, if there was a moment when I said that this was gin, if you thought that I was a tough guy. Like and subscribe if you thought it was a tough guy. The show starts with Braun Strowman. He comes out. Oh, but Renee is on commentary again because Coach is off on one of these ambiguous assignments. I hope they keep creating more assignments for Coach. Assign Coach to all the assignments. I'll talk about Renee right now, get it out of the way. I thought what she did a couple of weeks ago was fine. I thought she was okay. She felt like the odd woman out between Graves and Cole, which is normal because Cole and Graves have been working every week with each other for how many weeks now? So they do have a certain chemistry, and they probably have some reflexes between each other. As they're doing the show, some little unspoken things between them. And her trying to insert herself into that might have been a little tricky. I thought she did a good job 2 weeks ago, but I found tonight was already even better. Felt she had a step up. Thought she was a lot more comfortable in her role. And man, it's really refreshing. She feels fantastic on the show. So, and I can't wait to hear the job that she did on the Mae Young Classic. So basically, Braun comes out with Drew and Dolph. So really cementing the fact that they're a team here. The audience is still chanting, "Get these hands." Maybe in the minds of some, there's still some ambiguity. That's when you're not sure if you're eating a pork product or not. That's called ambiguity. So maybe people are unsure if Braun is the heel here or not. So they do the recap of last week. They show some video. I think it's kind of funny that Braun is calling shots to the production truck. It's like roll the footage kind of thing. He says, well, that's what I call justice. Beating up the Shield. And I told Roman Reigns that I would look him in the eye, to challenge him. But Roman runs in with a pack, and without them, the Universal Championship would be mine. And you know what? I keep saying this over and over again. There's nothing better than a heel who's right. Honestly, Braun did his best here to do the right thing. He can't, even though it was a little corny and not well executed. When it was time, Braun came out and said, look, I'm going to challenge you face to face. I'm not going to cash in behind your back. I'm going to do it, man to man, eye to eye kind of thing. And he did it, but Roman wouldn't take the beating like he said. And you kind of agree with him. You can't not be in agreement with what Braun said. It's like, look, let's do this fight. Take your beating. I'm about to win the Universal Championship off of you. What does Roman Reigns do? Well, he gets his Shield buddies back to beat up Braun to make sure he doesn't win. So what does Braun do? He's like, well, I'm going to get some guys, and I'm going to beat the shit out of you now. Anyway, this kind of logic is hard to go against, right? A heel who's right, who has whose grievances are very well laid out and have real foundations is the best kind of heel. Because you're like, oh man, I hate this guy so much, but I hate him even more because he's kind of right, Like Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn last year on SmackDown. That was their entire shtick. The fact that they were right. Becky Lynch right now, even though we'll see how that turns out. But if they're going to force if they are going to force the heel thing as far as Becky goes, instead of try and make her a tweener or whatever, anyway, we'll see what happens tomorrow. But if they do if they do push the heel turn on us, again, Becky Lynch is entirely right. She has valid arguments to support her grievances. And I like those kind of heels. So basically he's in the ring saying he's got a pack of his own now. At Hell in a Cell, he's going to take the Universal Championship. People seem down for that. That got some good reactions. Drew and Dolph talk. Drew basically says, take a moment and look at us. The Shield had their time, but they're over now. We're the new Kings of the Jungle. Dolph says, and we will be the most dominant force in WWE history. More dominant than the Nation of Domination. I popped. I popped when he said that. I don't know if it was a rib. I don't know if he was semi-serious or if it was just because there was the word domination in the name of that stable. And said, well, if they're a nation of domination. I like that. Nation of Domination, DX, and the Shield were better than all of those. You started the Shield and we're going to finish it. And then the Shield's music hits. They come out from the audience. Baron Corbin then comes in and sends the locker room out to keep the Shield at bay, I guess. And it all ends up in a pull-apart brawl. My main issues here that I have is the following. You basically have three guys who are taking out all of your locker room. It ends up looking, everyone ends up looking like chumps. And the last times that they did this, yes, they'd send like a first wave of dudes over in the recent iterations of the pull apart, and the guy, they'd send like the true lower card jabronis in first. So then the two guys in the ring would sort of push them around, beat them up. They wouldn't be able to do much. But then the second wave, the third wave, if need be, then you'd get your bigger, beefier guys or your bigger stars. And then you'd be able to get some sort of control. But here, the Shield just took out everyone repeatedly. And it just ended up making folks look like chumps here. Slater and Rhino, they were out. But Slater and Rhino used to be SmackDown. They were the first SmackDown Tag Team Champions. I'm not fussy about that. It doesn't make my heart sing. Especially to see Finn Balor out there doing that. The Authors of Pain. And that's one of my gripes. And the second gripe that I have with this is that I think we're good with pull apart brawls for a while now. I think we're good. We saw it with Roman Reigns and Bobby Lashley a couple of months ago. A couple of weeks ago, we saw it with Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. We had seen Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar a couple of weeks before that. A couple of months before that, I should say. Let's be fair. On SmackDown, when they did it with Charlotte and Becky, that was actually cool because we haven't seen a pull apart brawl between the ladies yet. So that was cool. But here it kind of felt it lacked the pizzazz. a pull apart should have. Props to Drew McIntyre, who fought the whole way. He wanted to fight. He didn't want to be pulled back. But then again, I spend, whenever Drew's on the screen, he captivates my attention. Back from commercial, and the Shield is being arrested. They're in cuffs. They're being put in the back of a police vehicle, a paddy wagon. That's the term, right? I am your host with the most. And my question, of course, is why? Why are they being arrested? They're wrestlers doing wrestling. They're wrestlers doing wrestler things. You don't want to beat a dead horse, but the horse is already dead, and you have your baseball bat in your hand. So why don't you let's go right ahead? Ronda Rousey, when she was suspended, she attacked the women's champion. She got a suspension, but she wasn't arrested. She wasn't tossed into jail. Oh, Baron Corbin's a heel. All right, fine. He's a heel. He's a heel, so he's gonna toss the baby faces into prison. Gonna lay down some charges. You know what? I'm pretty sure that all these independent contractors in their contracts with WWE, I'm pretty sure there's liability waivers in kayfabe. As being blindsided by other contracted talent, doesn't infringe upon, WWE's not liable, and no legal action can be undertaken, and blah blah blah. Unless they have a gun or a samurai sword or a crossbow, a trebuchet. I don't know how you'd get a trebuchet though. But I bet Sarah Logan and it's Hanson, her boyfriend from the War Machine. I bet that they on their farm in Virginia or wherever it is they live, I bet they have a working trebuchet there. And they're like, man, we got to use this. We got to talk to Vince and use this in an angle somewhere. We got to do this. But the point is that, listen, the whole arrest thing was stupid. And what made it even stupider were the legal updates that legal correspondent Mike Rome was providing throughout the evening via Twitter. He was telling us that the guys had been arrested and fingerprinted and booked, and then another tweet said that they were officially charged, that they had appeared in front of a judge and were officially charged with inciting a riot, criminal damage, and disorderly conduct. That was so dumb. And man, you know what? I'm impressed at the speed of the U.S. legal system. You get hauled out of a building, you put into a cop car at 8:15 p.m. And then at 10 o'clock, you're in front of a judge. Whew, that's efficient. You guys run a tight ship down there in the U.S. of A. On Labor Day, on top of that. That's some dedication. You folks have some dedicated civil servants. That's nuts. But it was dumb. It was dumb because that's sort of... See, when, let's say Steve Austin gets arrested and then he somehow pops back later in the evening. It just happens and you're like, oh my God, what did he do? How did he get out of it? But it doesn't matter because he runs in and he stuns Vince McMahon and everyone goes home happy. Here, it's just a little more... It's a little more condescending to our intelligence here because we all know this. It doesn't work this way. And on top of that, if that wasn't condescending to our intelligence enough, when the Shield come back at the main event, they're driving a police car. They commandeered a police vehicle to come back to the station. These are my antler hands. When I don't understand something, I do antler hands. I don't understand. I don't get it. Why did they do this? Why did they come? Why did anyone in creative say it's a good idea to have them come back in a cop car? Was that part of the deal they struck? They posted bail? Because Mike Rowe at some point texts Corey Graves to say they posted bail. They're on their way back. Yeah, we'll post bail and here's an extra $500. We need a ride. Oh, well, we, as police officers, we're not a taxi service. We can't drive you. All right, fine. We'll take one of your cars. And then what? The officer sort of says, oh, no, you can't take a car. And then what? Like, Rain Superman punches them? And then they run off? Are they still fugitives? They stole a police car. Obviously, these guys are recidivists. They're criminal recidivists. They're going to do this again. Lock them up. Lock the Shield up. I don't know. I get it. I do. But, there's so much suspension of disbelief you can do, right? When you try to make things logical, say, oh, people are going to wonder if we have them locked up. How did they get out of jail so soon? Oh, well, we'll have Mike Rowe text. And Mike Rowe, just for kayfabe's sake, should have turned on location services on his Twitter feed so that we could see that he was at, whatever police station there was around there in that part of Ohio. If you're going to do the kayfabe thing, you go all in. That's not a joke. It's not a joke. All right, let's move on. The Bella Twins versus the Riot Squad. Trash fire of a match. And here's the thing, right? I was Nikki started the match and she got a bit of offense in. Basically a bit of offense. She was doing arm bars for most of the match. And I think it was Corey who said, who said at some point, as it stands, I'm really impressed with Nikki Bella's work. And I'm like, man, she's only been doing arm bars. And then when Brie comes in, she has a nice hammerlock arm bar. She does yes kicks and she does most of the heavy lifting for the part of a good part of the match. So I opened up my Twitters and I'm like, Brie's looking good! ! And I swear, as I press send, she does her first dive onto Sarah Logan, which fails, right? Because we've all seen the match, right? She, just as I post, Brie's looking good in the ring, she goes and fucks it up. Now, to be fair, this wasn't all on her, because I think what was supposed to happen is she was supposed to start a dive and Sarah Logan was probably supposed to deck her, but it just seemed like the most massive miscue on both their ends, because when she went to do her, she didn't jump early enough to actually do the dive, so it really looks like she was supposed to just like come in between the ropes and get slugged. But Sarah didn't do it, and she just tumbled off. I don't know. It didn't look good. And then her second dive, and that's entirely on her. Her knees got cut up in the second rope, or the first, I don't remember. But her knees got caught in the rope, and she just face planted. And honestly, I thought, okay, she's dead. Maybe. I may be slightly exaggerating. If you watch the Warren Hayes show, you know I have a tendency to slightly exaggerate. But I really think that she may have... I really thought she hurt herself pretty bad. Thankfully, she didn't, apparently. Thankfully, she didn't. She should do like her husband and not do any more dives. She has the same baby that Daniel Bryan does. Daniel's saying... I'm not gonna do stuff that's gonna put my brain at risk anymore because I have a family. You go ahead, Bree. Just do the same thing, Bree. No, this was a bad match. This wasn't. It wasn't good. We have a segment backstage with Finn Balor, who comes, who's with Baron Corbin, and he basically, on one hand, tells him that he wants a rematch with Corbin, and on the second hand, tells Baron Corbin he has a small penis. So he wants to rematch Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin says, fine, I'm going to make it as the main event for tonight. Everyone is satisfied. Next, we see Bobby Roode backstage with Chad Gable, and they're talking about their tag team debut. Funny enough, interestingly enough, these are two guys who were on my list. I don't know if you took the time to see this video that I made. On my list of top 5 WWE superstars who deserve to be paired with Paul Heyman. You know, as all the rumors that Paul Heyman is going to be paired up with Kevin Owens. Apparently, I don't think it's going to happen. You know, there's rumors. Well, I said, hey, let's have a little fun with this. 5 other guys who need Paul Heyman way before anyone else. And both of these guys were on that list. You should check it out. Check out that video if you haven't seen it yet. tinyurl.com/Mr. Warren Hayes. So basically, like, they're super psyched to be in a team with each other, and Chad is really, really into it. Like, he's quivering in anticipation, being like, yeah, you with the robes, and you carry yourself like a champ. I'm captivated with who you are and how you carry yourself. You're the glorious one. And Bobby's like, yeah, this is cool stuff, you know. Yeah, I like being in a tag team with you. You're a former champion. Let's do this, you know. So they go into the ring, and Chad Gable is basically so stoked, and he's doing everything Bobby Roode is doing, and he's getting up in front of him. He's doing the glorious pose, and he's just over. His enthusiasm is overwhelming, and he's really funny at it too. I find it was just ridiculous enough. I thought it was he was supposed to act like an energetic kid on Christmas morning. Well, there you go. They get into the ring and they're fighting the Ascension. The Ascension are trash talking. You know what? The Ascension, and God bless them. God bless their NXT run. Loved the Ascension. But right now, and how they're positioned on Raw, the Ascension wouldn't even have the right to trash talk my grandma. Connor calls Gable a sawed-off duck butt. To me, that's on the same level of suffering succotash son. It's right up there. They're both the same. Anyway, Gable and Roode wins with Chad Gable getting a cradle, rolling from a cradle into a German suplex, into a bridge. Beautiful finish. They win. They celebrate. They celebrate like they're the B team, and that kind of got to me. But you know, the way that Chad Gable was acting and how he was, you know, always trying to do what Bobby Roode does and getting in front of him and stuff like that. Fingers crossed that this might lead to that heel turn that we've all wanted from Bobby Roode for months now. Back even when he was on SmackDown and was US champ. Hopefully this is where we're heading. That's what I'd like. And if Chad Gable keeps up this routine where, you know, he tries to do what Bobby does, he tries to be number one, always on the front and everything. Well, Bobby Roode at some point is like, no, this is my spotlight, and he just turns on him. And I'd be completely fine with a Bobby Roode, Chad Gable program, it'd be great. And we'd be seeing more of Chad Gable. And whenever we see Chad Gable, man, tell me, I do dare you to tell me, in the short amount of time that they had in that match, Chad Gable didn't look fantastic. Chad Gable looks fantastic every time he steps into the ring. We get an Elias segment next. He runs down Trish Stratus for what she did to him last week. Then he runs down Columbus, saying that, if Christopher Columbus knew that his name would have anything to do with this city, he'd have turned right back around to Europe. Then Alexa Bliss comes out to a huge pop because that's her hometown. She's accompanied by Mickie James and Alicia Fox, and Alicia Fox's dress. Oh my God. She looked stunning in that dress. That dress was amazing. Alexa Bliss takes the mic. She says, she graduated from high school in this building. She does a chant. College sports, high school sports, I know it's a big thing in the U.S. These things just go right over my head. But apparently everyone does this fight chant, OHIO, something like that. Anyway, she gets them to do it, and then she runs them down because, of course, she's Alexa Bliss. She says she couldn't wait to get out of this town. And Elias, your assessment of Columbus is pretty much spot on. And why don't you perform the song that you wanted to do? Because I want to walk with Elias. And Alexa flirting with Elias right then and there made Braun Strowman cry. Kayfabe. Elias starts to play, but Ronda Rousey interrupts and comes out with Natalya because Natalya has a fight with Alexa Bliss. This was a fine match. It was okay. I don't think there was anything really wrong with it. Natty's in control for most of the first part of the match. She does a nice arm drag into an armbar at some point. Alexa does a lot of stalling, heading into the ropes. I'm fine with that. That's what her character does. At some point, Bliss battles back. She's able to distract the ref while Mickie and Foxy work over the arm. Alexa ends up hitting a DDT, then looks over at Ronda and then applies an armbar. It's supposed to be an armbar. It just looked like she was cradling Natalya's arm. It wasn't good. No. She still needs to work on that. I get what they're trying to do now. It's like, okay, Alexa's going to be ready for Hell in a Cell. She's been training, and she's pulling out new moves, such as Ronda Rousey's patented armbar. Someone's teaching her how to do it. That's not good, what just happened there. Not good. And Natty taps out to the terrible armbar. That must have broken her heart. Alexa and her crew tried to beat down on Ronda after. Foxy goes after Ronda, but man, she gets ragdolled by some of those awesome judo throws. Man, those look fierce. And a couple of weeks ago when she was pulling them, or was it last week when she was tossing Alicia Fox around with them, people were like, oh no, she's being way too stiff. She can't wrestle, she's being too stiff. Being the MMA pro that she is, that Ronda is, she knows how to throw people to really hurt them. When they're working out and sparring, they're going to perform the moves, they're going to do the moves, but there's always ways to hit the move so that you don't use your full force, full strength, full momentum to actually injure someone. If Ronda Rousey didn't know how to perform this safely, she wouldn't be doing it. Trust me. WWE would never let that fly. And plus, if Alicia Fox had a problem with it, she wouldn't be doing it 2 weeks in a row. So they look fierce, they look fantastic. That's what they're supposed to do. But this isn't an inexperienced thing. She's doing the throws. She's doing them properly so that she doesn't hurt her opponent. After the judo throws, Alexa chop blocks Rousey, and then Rousey gets thrown into the steel steps. Oh no, this is where Alexa applies the armbar. Sorry, I thought it was a little bit before. But anyway, it was the most unconvincing armbar ever. The match was fine for what it was. Natalya always looks good. I heard now, it's been announced that Lita versus Mickie James is going to be at Evolution. This is going to be a match. Mickie James is a legitimate good wrestler, and she can still go. We know she can still go. Lita, and as much as I love her and how much she was an integral part of my appreciation of the Attitude Era of the 1990s and how much she worked to legitimize women's wrestling, as much as Trish did back then, Lita has never been a good worker. It's never been that way. I'm not saying she's terrible, but if one of your marquee matches is going to be Lita, who hasn't wrestled in years at this point, okay, and her appearance at Royal Rumble earlier this year doesn't constitute wrestling a wrestling match. It's an appearance. You can mask a lot in there, and she wasn't in there all that much either. If here's a woman who hasn't wrestled in years, she comes back for a match, hasn't wrestled in years, and wasn't actually, wasn't cream of the crop back then either. Wasn't a top-notch worker either. I'm a bit worried about this match, and I think one of the younger talent would have benefited much more from working with either of those two ladies. Kind of like when you put, let's say when you put Trish and Alexa together, those are cut from the same cloth. That'll be a fine match. It'll work out perfectly for both of them. Put an Ember Moon in the ring with Lita or Ruby Riott, who are both workhorses and who can complement Lita really, really well. Play on her strengths. It'd work a lot better. I mean, God bless Mickie James. She'll get a good match out of Lita, but I think you even could have put Mickie James in the ring with someone else. That's just me. It's odd. We see Braun, Dolph, and Drew backstage, and all three of them are looking for competition. Dolph and Drew are like, hey, why don't you give us the tag team title shot tonight? And Baron Corbin's like, well, look, we've already advertised the Revival for tonight, so my hands are tied, man. So Dolph and Drew are like, well, if something were to happen to the Revival, well, then Baron Corbin says we'll have to reconsider and reassign. Oh, that's good. And Braun says, don't forget me, I want my competition too. And then we see, coincidentally, the Revival have an interview segment afterwards, and they get attacked by Dolph and Drew. So will they be able to compete for the tag team, the Raw Tag Team Championship? Championship. Will they be able? Well, the B team comes out to the ring. The Revival's music hits, but there's no Revival. So who comes out instead? Dolph and Drew. Drew comes out, and he basically takes out both guys. He does a belly-to-belly overhead suplex on Curtis Axel. Bo Dallas cracks Dolph with a thunderous running elbow, and that was something. Bo is your babyface in peril for most of the match. Gets turns things around with a tornado DDT on Drew, then hits the hot tag after getting a neck breaker on Drew. Curtis Axel hits a perfect plex on Dolph for 2, which is cool because Drew had to break it up. So, still protecting Kurt Hennig's old finisher. Drew dives Dallas face first into the turnbuckle. It looked nasty, and that completely took Bo out of the match. Super kick by Dolph on Axel. They hit the zigzag Claymore combo, and we have new Raw Tag Team Champions. You know what? I'm okay with this. I'm okay that the B team dropped the titles to Dolph and Drew as opposed to the Revival. You know, they've been, because I think there's it's much more compelling for the Revival to win the titles off of Dolph and Drew, who will come off as a legitimate strong tag team. And they've been building over the past couple of weeks that the Revival are ready, willing, and able to beat the Revival. They beat them in singles matches. They beat them last week. All signs pointed to the Revival steamrolling the B team last night. But it took Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre to take them out of the equation so that they wouldn't be able to win. So this makes for a much more compelling story, I find. And yes, this feud with the Shield might go on, but I think it's going to be to the advantage of the Revival. I think the Revival, have the Revival chase the titles off of Dolph and Drew? Absolutely. I just kicked my camera. There we go. Have them win off both of those guys. That's perfect. It makes more sense. More compelling. Backstage, we see the Authors of Pain walking with Drake Maverick, who is wearing the same kind of riot gear as Akam and Rizar. And I wasn't quite sure what I saw. It's like, what? What am I looking at? They come to the ring with little Drake Maverick in his wee tiny riot gear. And he comes to the ring with the AOP and he has a mic and he says, not only am I the general manager of 205 Live, but I am the manager of the Authors of Pain. And I'm going to make them the WWE Tag Team Champions. Look, I am thrilled, all right? Thrilled that Drake Maverick is managing the Authors of Pain. The Authors of Pain have been ridiculously misused since WrestleMania, since their call-up. It's been absurd how bad they've been used. And how long have we, let's say I have been clamoring for Authors of Pain to have a mouthpiece, a manager, to get them out of this funk that they've been booked into. I've even offered up Paul Heyman as the best solution. Never thought of Drake Maverick. But you know what? Spud is a hell of a guy to give promos. He is a fantastic promo artist. When I saw him, I'm like, yes, what a great choice. This is excellent. But man, they have to get him into a suit and out of the riot gear. That was absurd. Absolutely absurd. He just looks like a little mini wannabe, you know, daddy, I can wear your fireman's gear too. That's what he looked like. That's what made me laugh so much. But it's just because the visual was funny. The pairing is spot on perfect. And as opposed to any other manager that they could have given them, Drake he's a wrestler. I mean, technically he can still go. So maybe get some spots involved. So anyway, jabroni match, showcase match. They crush Keith Thompson and Jimmy James, and the Super Collider is back as their finisher. Thank God they're not doing that double team swing leg sweep shit. Man, thank God that is back. You know what happened with the Authors of Pain tonight? It's what we call a reboot. That's exactly what happened here. I'm thrilled they're back. And then that they're back, but that they've got things back on track. And you know what? For the first time in months, I am excited about the Raw tag team division. I really, really am. HBK is in the ring hyping up the Australia show. He says he thinks Triple H is going to win the match because he's not objective. Because, Triple H is his best friend. And he said, I loved him when he was a nobody. And maybe I love him a little more today that he's a somebody. And he says, Taker, Triple H is still the game. The cerebral assassin, he's got more in the tank than you do. And then to everyone's surprise, gong, lights go out. Undertaker takes 17 minutes to come to the ring. I'm exaggerating. He does his full entrance to the ring. And he confronts Shawn. And he says, over the past 20 years, I took the best you had, I took the best Triple H had, and I took you both down. He says that he took parts of their souls and your egos can't handle it. And he says, I took the one thing that was most important from you, Shawn, your career. And that... If you know anything about Shawn Michaels' career, his history, you know how this one stung a little. Why it stung a little. Shawn says, you know what? I stayed true to my retirement. I've stayed away because I am a man of honor, true to my word. I said I'd retire and that's it. People start chanting one more match. And he said, look, this is, for nearly a decade, this is what I've been hearing from fans, from people in the back, offering me WrestleMania spots, millions of dollars. I've been turning these down. Stayed out of retirement out of respect for you, Undertaker. And then Taker says, is it out of respect or is it out of fear? I'm not doing this segment justice at all. If you're watching this without having watched Raw beforehand, take the time to go take a look at it. It is seldom that we have moments of truth, in wrestling, things that feel important, that feel real. This was definitely one of those moments. Coupled with Triple H's promo last week, where he just cranked it up to 10 regarding this match and talking about his legacy and history and how things were back then and how things are now and how, sometimes he gets the itch, how sincere that felt. This was nothing compared to what happened in the ring tonight, where you actually saw Shawn Michaels, I think, be more authentic than he's ever been on a microphone. Go take a look at it. And I never thought that in 2018 I would be excited to watch Undertaker, Triple H, and Shawn Michaels wrestle in some kind of combination. So the question is now, though, they've kind of hammered home that, Shawn doesn't want to do one more match out of respect for Undertaker, but Undertaker's like, shove your respect. You haven't come out of retirement because you're afraid, because if you come out of retirement, I'm the guy you have to come for. And you know that, and that's what makes you afraid. So is this going to turn into some kind of triple threat in Australia? Or have we set the seeds for a larger, a bigger stage, a larger stage, perhaps one of WrestleMania implications? I don't know if Shawn wants to do it. We'll see. But check out that segment, man. If everything that Raw did had this kind of sincerity, we'd be buying into it every week. Bayley and Sasha fought Dana Brooke and Ember Moon. Look, it's time to give Ember Moon something to do on main roster. I think we're all in agreement here. I don't think we're going to get any opposition. She's the second person in a Dana Brooke tag match. This is ridiculous. I thought she was fighting with I think she had, didn't she have a mini feud with the Riot Squad? I was thinking that this would culminate with Ruby coming back, and then they'd have a series of matches with each other, which would be fantastic because they're both fantastic. But Ember Moon is arguably the best the best worker on the women's roster right now. Why is she relegated to these things? And again, you saw it in the ring tonight. She's in the ring for almost just like 65 seconds, maybe 90 seconds, and she stole the show. She did a great head scissors. She hits a beautiful springboard double crossbody on both Bayley and Sasha. Dana Brooke messed up the tag to tag her in. The referee had to step in no, you didn't tag her. All right. Anyway, Sasha gets a roll up out of nowhere for the win after Brooke misses her handspring elbow. And the story here is that she got distracted by Titus and Apollo, who were apparently arguing outside, giving advice at the same time. And she comes out and says, "We're done." Well, we'll see where this goes. Oh, Bobby Lashley has a performance review. And his performance review basically says, Baron Corbin gave it to him and says that his actions are too violent, and he sends out Bobby to get some spiritual guidance with Jinder Mahal. My man! Water! My man! My God. What are they doing? What are they doing? It was very, very cringeworthy. I didn't like it going in to do the Jinder, who's some spiritual guru now, backstage. It's like, okay, go have his session out in the ring. He doesn't anyway. The important thing that we have to point out here is that Kevin Owens ran out of nowhere and attacked him. Kevin Owens just ran right out of the audience and attacked Bobby Lashley, beat him up. But he quit last week. Well, let's see where this goes. And for God's sake, I hope it's something interesting for poor Bobby. But then again, I don't want Kevin Owens to be fed to another guy again, because that's all they've been doing with Kevin, is feeding him to other wrestlers. That's one of the reasons why he quit. Well, not in kayfabe, is that he's losing his matches, so he can't win anymore. So he quit. If he comes back, you kind of hope that he's going to win. But if they pair him with Bobby Lashley, they want Lashley over. It's a smart move to put him with Kevin Owens. He'll have great matches with Kevin Owens. I'm sure of that. But man, I kind of want Kevin Owens to get over as well. I'm running over the hour mark that I had placed subconsciously in my mind. So we'll run through our main event, Finn Balor versus Braun Strowman, fairly quickly. Look, I did not think this was a good match for either Braun or Finn. Finn can do so much better. The triangle, that was a shame. That was a crying shame. I don't know how he was unable to lock that in. Braun can do better. He can work a better pace than this. It was a very sloppy, non-committal match. As far as the main event goes, nope, was not impressed. There was even a Vice at some point. That's how... Braun wins after deadlifting. That's the thing. The triangle was so integral to the ending sequence. Where he hooks the triangle on Braun. He's been trying to, I get the psychology of it. He was trying to get him into sleeper holds. It wasn't working. He did 3 sleeper holds or something. Finn did. Then eventually locks in the triangle to try and get him to pass out or submit, but then Braun deadlifts him and gets him into a power slam and wins. After the match, Braun goes for another power slam, and the new Raw Tag Team Champions are there as well, and they all sort of start working over Finn. As I mentioned previously, we hear police sirens, and there's a police car that rolls its way into the arena, and it's Roman Reigns who's driving it, and he goes and opens the back, and there's Dean and Seth in the back. They commandeered a vehicle, police vehicle, but they head to the ring to beat up. They actually go to the top of the ramp, and as they start heading down, Kevin Owens out of nowhere just leads the charge and beans the guys, and the heels pour out of the locker room, and they start putting the hurt on the Shield. Like, everyone is beating up on the Shield. Drew Gulak is there beating up on Roman Reigns, talking trash to Roman Reigns. What are you gonna do now, Roman? Oh my God. There's a lot of things on Raw tonight where I thought I was like in some kind of weird waking dream. Drew Gulak beating down on Roman Reigns is something my subconscious has been wanting, but I never thought would be materialized. Seth fell on the truck hard and shattered the windows, and he was bleeding. I hope he's okay, because his arm, there was a lot of blood. Anyway, so basically all of the heels stand tall. And if you were wondering if there was any bit of doubt in your mind as to whether Braun was a heel or not, you can rest assured after tonight, friends, that WWE creative management considers Braun Strowman a heel. Yeah, man. That was Monday Night Raw. You know what? The high points for me tonight was the tag team division. That's what I am legitimately excited as to where they're going forward with this. Taking the B team out of the title picture, Dolph and Drew, and it's a smart move to make them look strong, give them titles along with Braun. It all works together. It's a very, very smart combination. Dolph and Drew together with Braun, the new tag team champions, the AOP getting a reboot, new manager, back to their old finisher. Love it. Just put Drake in a suit and everything will be fine. It'll never look credible with him in the Riot gear. It just won't work. I'm excited to see what they're gonna do with Chad Gable and Bobby Roode. It's just so out there that I'm intrigued. I feel like the women's division is one of the least watchable things on Raw right now. It's really, really disappointing because I don't think that they're pushing they're not pushing the good talent, their top tier women's talent, in a position to to actually shine, to make the division shine. One thing I forgot to mention when they called the Bellas out, when they introduced the Bellas, returning for the first time in so many years, and just a few weeks before their premiere of the new season of Total Bellas, and it's hard not to be cynical when there's that kind of ham-fisted promotion marketing that's just pushed into your face. And you're like, the Bellas, of course they're going to come and promote the Bellas because they want the people to know about their reality show, but it's just so gross and ham-fisted. It worked for The Miz because that's Miz's character, and Miz is a full-time performer. The Bellas are not. And they're back just for that reason. They're back to being some kind of main event, I guess, with Ronda Rousey. They're going to be triple threading or six-man tagging. Man, I can't believe it. And especially after tonight, the Bellas are not ready. They're not ready to wrestle. Anyway, Bree's not. She's not in a position to carry a match in any form right now. So, it's a shame. It's a shame for that. I'm very intrigued now also to see how this whole thing with Braun Strowman's pack, how this is going to work out, and why did the whole locker room come after the Shield? The Shield have a lot of issues with a lot of people, but holy smokes. Let's see what I'm intrigued. Raw has me intrigued. It was a very up and down show. And just because I'm intrigued by stuff doesn't necessarily mean they're good, but there's a lot of things that have my attention, and I'm glad that they're going to do something with the tag team division. That is that was something that should have been done a while back. So let's just wrap this one up then, guys. Thank you very much for hanging out to the very end of this video. If this is the first time that you find one of my videos and you'd like to see more of my videos where I talk about the wrestlings, go right ahead. tinyurl.com/Mr. Warren Hayes. That's the center of the universe as far as putting my face out into the expanses of data bytes and giga things. I know the real terms. I'm just being stupid. And you can also follow me on Twitter at Mr. Warren Hayes. That's where you get all the latest updates and all the latest nonsense. Thank you very much. And if you like this video, go right ahead and do the like thing, do the subscription. It helps out a lot, and more than helping out, it means a lot to me that you do that you take the time to do that kind of little gesture. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out, and I'll see you next time.